uh, x and y intercepts of the line or any function in general. So I'm just going to put function so you know they'll ask for intercepts of anything. Number 3, find the equation of a line given 2 points. So you'll have a couple of questions where they give you 2 points and you got to find the slope and then the y-intercept, and then you put that together, which is the whole line equation, right? They'll also ask you to just find the slope and that's it. Which is pretty much the same thing you do number 3, so honestly, I don't think that needs to be separate, but it's fine. Number 5, write a linear inequality given a graph. So they'll give you a graph, and you gotta write the inequality. So you for sure need to do that kind of stuff. Let me keep going. Or interval notation. So they can ask it in 2 different ways. Forgot about that. Okay. Let's keep on going here. Number 6, solve inequalities. Then graph. So they'll ask you what's the solution, and then you'll graph it. Determine if there really depends equation, chart, etc. is a function. So they'll give you different scenarios. You gotta decide, okay, is that a function? Yes or no? And then just put your justification, which we talked about, right? You can use a definition or you can graph it and see if a vertical line hits more than once, then it is not a function. Okay. So we have a couple of is it there, is it not? You will need to find domain and range of different functions. Okay. Yeah. The domain. Like there's be quite a few of those. Plug in values into a piecewise function. Or a regular function. Just plug in numbers. Yeah, a couple of those. Those should be easy points. I hope nobody misses those. Choose the correct graph of a piecewise function. So they give you a piecewise function, and then you got to choose multiple choice. Which picture is it? Okay. You have graphing different types of functions. You may have graph of parabola, graph of line, stuff like that. Nothing crazy. And you can use your graphers if you want. So these would be pretty much free points if you know how to plug it into your graphing calculator or website thing. Find a cost function given some information. Find average cost per item given a cost function. Find the break-even quantity given cost and revenue functions. And that's it, pretty much. I mean, I could condense this better, but I wanted to be more detailed. So you have a lot of questions that are just graphing line. Well, that graphing will pretty much do for you. So just graphing them will get you 1, 2, 1 and 2, no problem. 3, 4, 5, 6 is actually solving for stuff. So that would be more like traditional solve for X or use your formula, that kind of thing. 7 and 8, graphing will help you, but you need to understand the ideas of domain and how to tell, and the definition of a function. Number 9, that one's really not much to do. As long as you know where to plug it in, you'll just solve for your value. Number 10, yeah, this one you just take a picture, like which picture matches your function. That's nothing really to do there. 11, this one just will give you an equation, they'll say graph it. So I hope everybody gets these. 12 is, they'll tell you like some sort of scenario, like I don't know, X costs this many, and then there's a fixed cost, so you gotta create your cost function. And then here they'll give you a cost function on 13, and you gotta find the average cost. And then break even, remember we said when cost is set equal to revenue, you just solve for X, and that'll tell you the break even. So this is the big picture of what will be on there. So I'm telling you pretty much what every single question is going to be on there. So I'm hoping that'll save you time for studying. Narrow your focus, right? Let's see here. I'm gonna open up the review. Maybe I'll pick some random questions to do together. But before we do, is there any category here out of these 14 that you are worried about or don't remember at all or are struggling with? If not, I'll just go in order, whatever. Okay. Well, let me show you the review. Maybe some of you have already started it. I don't know. Yeah. So the first one is just graph the equation. I don't think we need to do much here. Just put in your calculator or your Desmos and it'll do it for you, right? So on the review, the first two is just graph. Do you want to solve a graphing question? If not, I'm going to move on to maybe the intercepts or something else. Okay. Intercepts, again, it's pretty straightforward, right? X-intercept is when you intercept the X, so that would be 4. If they want it written as a point, you put 4, 0, right? But they didn't say put it in as a point. So I'm going to use just the X value 4. Hope it doesn't get mad at me. All right, cool. Y-intercept, well, that's right there, 5. It didn't say point, so 5. So I don't think we need to spend too much time on that type of stuff. This one I'd say just graph it and you'll see what the intercepts are, just like earlier where we could see them, right? So take advantage of your graphing when you can. So we'll skip that guy. This guy, same deal. If we graph this, we can see it, but let's still go ahead and do it for fun. I'll write it down here. This is number 5. Graph and find X-intercept and Y-intercept. Okay, well, I'm going to open my grapher and just go ahead and do it. I can find it. Oh, I guess I closed it. Okay. So I wrote down, actually I didn't write it down, like an idiot. It was some X squared plus, oh man, what was it? Give me a second. Oh, so there. I was worried that I closed it. X squared minus 2x minus 15. So graph this guy. You can still see you guys can still see the graph, right? Okay. I'm assuming your silence is yes at this point. Right. So there's my y-intercept. There's my x-intercept. So using however method you want to do to graph it, those would be your answers, right? So x-intercept as a value would be -3 and 5. That's another 5. Y-intercept would be -16. Nothing crazy, right? Okay. All right, so.
Sorry, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, please.
Can you go back to the graph if you don't mind, the decimals?
Sure, let's do that.
I don't know if you already got away from it.
That's still here. Stop sharing this one, share the graph. Find it. Okay, you can see the graph, right?
Yeah. I was just wondering, so the y-intercept would be.
Oh, actually, you're right. Yeah, you see that mistake.
Okay, I wanted to make sure I wasn't looking at it wrong.
No, I looked at it wrong. So 15, -15 is the intercept. If they were to ask for vertex, that would be the problem.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
but I don't think they will. Vertex would be 1 comma negative 16. Axis would be the x value. X equals to 1, which is this one here. Okay. Back to the question. Right. Okay. This is just another graphing question, so we'll move on. This guy here, let's see if it's even worth doing. Yeah, you're not going to see anything like this. I wouldn't worry about it. This guy you will see. Are you guys comfortable finding the slope? Otherwise, I'll keep going. Something else. For the next question. Let's go with cool slope. Skip to the next one. Okay. On number 9, go ahead and do this one. Write it down. 2x minus y is equal to 5. It wants the intercept and the slope. So as long as you solve for y, then you'll be good. So I'm going to subtract the 2x over, multiply by negative 1 on both sides, or just think of it as swapping all the signs to the opposite. But the reason that happens is because you divide each one or multiply, however you want to think about it. Then you end up with this. Y is equal to 2x minus 5. So here's my slope, and here's VB. So on the question, you just put that in there, right? Slope is we said 2, and y-intercept is negative 5, I think. Yeah. This is the same thing. So this guy is a little bit different. Go ahead and do this, I guess. Write the question down. This is number 11. Okay, 11 is find an equation. There we go. Find an equation of the line having the given slope and containing the given point. So M is 7, 6, or 6, 7. And the point that gives us is 4, negative 7. All right. So we know the general form. Actually, it's called standard form, also known as slope intercept 1, right? This is y equal to mx plus b, where this is slope, and this is the y-intercept. So we don't have the y-intercept, but we have the slope. So right away we get m 6/7 x plus some b. So we could plug in the point and solve for b. We can also use the other formula, the point slope one, whatever you prefer. This one is better when you're given a point and the slope. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. So you just go ahead and plug in everything. So this is slope stuff, and this is given point. Given point. So they gave us 4, -7, and so if I use this guy, it'll be y minus the y value they gave us, -7, equal to 6/7 times x minus the x value they gave us. So it'll be y plus 7, then multiply through, that'll be 6/7 x minus 4 times 6, that'll be what? 24/7. Okay, make sure I'm focusing. So at that point, you just add this, subtract the 7 over here, and we're good. So y will equal 6/7 x minus 24/7 minus 7. Now, if you don't want to deal with a fraction, you could avoid it, whatever. This would be what? If you have this calculator, something you could do is hit alpha y equals and call the fraction thing. So that'd be what? -24/7 minus 7. That gives me -73/7. So the answer would be 6/7 x minus 73rd sevenths. I don't mind if you. Oh wait, I do need you to show steps, but if you skip some fractional stuff, that's not a big deal. The minor steps, I'm not gonna get upset about, but I don't just want to see an answer, okay? That it would help me to give you more partial credit. Anyway, you guys have any questions on number 11? Okay. All right, so that's how we do 11. Same deal on 12. This one, they give us 2 points instead of the slope. So it's going to be similar, but you first have to find the slope. And once you're given the slope, or once you find it, I mean, you will then solve for b. Or you can use this equation, this formula here, and find it all at once. So let's go ahead and do this thing. As 13, find an equation of the line given -1, 2, and 110. Okay. So first step is first find m. So you use this formula, right? y2 minus y1. over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to rewrite the points over here so I can label them. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. So m will be 10 minus 2, 1 minus negative 1. So the slope will become 8 over minus 2, 4. So now that I have the slope, I can use point slope form, or I can just do the other one. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go do point slopes again. So y minus y1. Second, use point slope formula. Okay. So y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So again, this is just a random point, x1, y1. You can choose either one, actually. I'm going to choose this guy just because it's smaller, so maybe I will have smaller numbers. I don't know. Doesn't matter. So y1, m, x minus x1. There we go. So that will give us y minus 2 equal to 4 times x plus 1, which would mean that we would get 4x plus 4. So y will become 4x plus 6. This would be the answer they want. Are there any steps that don't make sense? Okay. So you guys are cool on 13 then. That's good. Maybe you'll all get A's or something. Okay, this next one is the same type of garbage. Oh, this one's different. This one's not too bad. You just need to remember what the symbols mean, right? Remember, bracket means you're going to have equal to. So right away, C and D don't make sense because these don't have the equal to part. If there was a parentheses, then you would choose C or D. The next thing is, remember, read it, right? X less than negative 1. Well, these are all the values less than negative 1. So 0, negative 1, and then it keeps going. So you just choose this guy. It's not much work to do here. Oh, sorry, I said not that one. The one with equal to. This one has a parentheses and a bracket. So you can do the interval by putting the bracket on the negative 4, because that's where it's at, right? Then you go all the way up until 9 with a parenthesis. That would be interval notation, not the inequality. Okay. So I already moved down there. That's when we actually have to solve stuff. Go ahead and do that. Number 17. Okay. Solve the following inequality. And graph. Okay. So here it is, 4x plus 7 is less than or equal to 31. Okay. So remember, all the rules apply for equations. So pretend it's an equation. Just remember there's one extra rule that happens when you divide or multiply by a negative. So if I divide both sides by negative or multiply by a negative, then the inequality symbol, the arrow, flips to the other direction. It's only if you do that, but I don't think we're going to have to. So I'm going to subtract 7. Do 31 minus 7. 31 minus 7, that's going to be what? 34? No, 24, sorry. Okay, then divide by 4. And that's pretty much it. X would be less than or equal to 24 divided by 4 would be 6. So the graph would be, I don't know, here's 6, put a bracket on there, and then just go forever in this direction. That's it. Not too bad, right? Okay. Is there any questions on number 17? Okay. 18 is the same deal. Although this one, the inequality will probably flip when you divide by -7 on the second step. This one's the same stuff, except there's x's on both sides. I always advise you keep the x on the left, if you can. That way you know exactly where to graph. Like for example, on this example here, since x is over there, you just graph wherever the arrow is pointing. So x less than 6, the arrow goes this way from 6. So that's easy to do if x is over here on the left side. So try to, when you're solving for these, try to keep it on the left. Let's do this one. This little kind of hard, I guess. All right. Nope, that's not 18, it's 20. Okay. So 8m plus 2 is less than 28 plus 3 times 4m minus 14 m minus 8m. Okay, so just like any other equation, get rid of parentheses and expand combining terms, and then we'll go from there. Okay, distribute the 3. 28 is just going to chill there for now. 3 times 4 is 12 m. 3 times 14, that would be negative 56, I think. Let me check. No, that was way off. 42. Three times, yeah, not 4 times. And then minus 8m. And just combine your like terms. So the next step, this would be 12 minus 8. So that will give us 4m. Let's put these guys first. 28 minus 42 would give us a negative 14. So now we just move everything. Again, I advise moving this to the left. moving the numbers to the right, and then we'll go from there. So subtract the 4 over here. That'll be 4m plus 2. And then subtract the 2 over there. And then divide by 4, and we're done. It's not -4, so we don't have to worry about that switching. So finally, m is less than -4. So graphing that guy, here's -4, parentheses this way, forever. It's not a big guy, but anyway. So far as these questions seem doable? Nope.
Yes.
We did one of these before. It's just that you have a 3-way inequality. So whatever you do, so you're focused on the center, but whatever operation you choose to do must be done on the left and on the right. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. B21. So -5 less than x minus 3 less than 13. Okay. So that 3 is in the way. So do +3. So I'm going to do +3 to every single side. This becomes -2. This becomes just the x. This becomes 16. So graphically, here's -2 parentheses all the way to 16, somewhere out here. Everything in here is what I'm talking about when I read this. Okay? Yeah. They want the interval notation for this question. Interval, that would be what? Parentheses -2 to 16. Okay. Number 22. Here now they're starting to talk about functions. To determine whether the following rule defines y as a function of x, or why it's not. So I know this is a simple yes or no, but you need to explain yourself. The first thing you should check is look at, does the x repeat? -2, 1, 6, 7, 10. It looks like there is no x repeating. So you can say that by definition, every x has exactly one y. So I'm good. Let's see. If you were to see like -2 and 1 go to the same place, then it's not a function. So two different things. Let's see how 7, 9, and 10, 9 go to the same value. So 7 goes to 9 and 10 goes to 9. That's okay. You just can't have 7 going to 9 and then again 7 going to 10. That wouldn't make sense. Here's the same type of deal. Just look at the x's. Do the x's repeat? No, they do not. So that should be good. So yes, because each x value of the given rule corresponds to exactly one y value. Yeah, so here's the definition of a function. Should be B. Domain, these guys I recommend you graph, although any line function is going to be everything. would be all real numbers. So if we were to graph 11x, let's see here, f of x is equal to 11x plus 14. As you can see, it goes on forever, right? All these x's will eventually hit some y way up here. There is no value that you can't plug in. You can multiply anything by 11. You can add 14 to anything. There is no problem. So this should be for sure a function just by looking at it. So if you see a line and they ask you what's a function, the answer should be yes. But the domain will be everything. So negative, infinity. This next one's a little bit more interesting because the domain does have restrictions. You cannot plug in, when you plug stuff in here, the result must stay equal to 0 or higher. For example, if I plug in 10, 4 minus 10 is negative. I cannot use 10. If I plug in 4, 4 minus 4 is 0. So 4 is the biggest number I can use. But if you're not able to see that, you can still graph it and see what's going on, right? And that can help you. You say, you know what? I don't know what a square root function looks like, but let's find out. It is 4 minus. So the highest value is 4, right? And then it goes on forever to the left. So the domain will be, look at our question. Domain will be 4 because it actually touches 4, but it doesn't go to the right. So this is wrong. D is wrong because it says don't include 4, but we already saw in the picture that it was right on 4. So it's going to be negative infinity all the way up until 4. 4 was the highest value. When you do interval, remember, the left side is the lowest value, the right side is the highest. So if it goes on forever on the left, you just have a negative infinity. If infinity was on the right, then that means it kept going to the right, which it did not. So it has to be this guy. Same thing here. Remember when we talked about these? You have to find out what causes division by 0. So you would set the bottom equal to 0. And if you notice, plugging in -1 will make it 0, right? So, and if you look at the answers, it looks like everything, looks like it's all settled around -1. So the ones you can exclude right away is D. Because this one says you can use -1, but you can't. Now, if you couldn't see that, you would have to graph it. Let's see. So 3 over x plus 1, that's what they had. It goes on forever. But it doesn't ever touch -1. So that's our asymptote. So the domain will be everything except this point. So going back to the question, will be everything below -1 and everything after -1. So this excludes -1. So it has to be this guy. Okay. You guys okay so far? I don't want to go too fast. I'm just assuming you guys have no questions. Let me know. Okay. On this one, I imagine you guys know how to plug in numbers, right? F of 3 means you plug in the 3 here. So -2 times 3 is -6 plus 9 should be 3. So when you see his notation, remember, you just plug in the number. Nothing really to do there. This one's the same deal. Plug in -3 for the x squared and the x, and then add your numbers. This one's a little more interesting. So check this out. It says this is a piecewise function. So it's a function broken up into 3 different pieces, right? It says, remember when we did this a couple of weeks ago, it said if x is equal to -6 or less, then I use this first one. So a is 7, right? So use 7. So I can't use that first one, too big. I can't use the middle one because it only says to use values between -6 and 5. So 7 is greater than 5, right? So we're going to use this bottom one. You just plug in 7, so you would do 7 plus 8, which is 15, right? You just have to know where does this go, and that depends on the restriction. So -10 is too small to go here or there, so you're going to have to use this one. 4.7, you'd have to use this middle one. -8.8, you'd use the first one. Is there any questions about how this works? Or no? Okay. We'll move on then. This is the same deal, just bigger numbers. This one, I would recommend graphing both. So let's see, let's try graphing it. Okay. So the first piece of the function was x minus 5. Second piece was just the number -2. I should just say y equals, just so it comes out. There we go. So it says that the first one connects when it's less than 3. So here's 3 right there. So it's going to go from here to here and then connect and then start with the black line. So let's look at the pictures. Here are my 3 pictures. So it should start from below, right, we said? And it connects. This one has it backwards. So this one's first, and then this one connects. But it doesn't make sense because -2 begins when x is greater than 3. So you should not have this horizontal line unless it's above 3. So the only one that makes sense, I think it's the graphing them separately should help put it together because you can eliminate quite a few things. This is just a graph. On this one, this is it a function? On a test, you would just say, yes, it is a function because it passes the vertical line test. If I draw a line through it, It will always be a function, no matter what x I choose. Doesn't hit twice. Okay. We said all lines are functions unless they're vertical. On this one, this won't come up on your exam. So no worries on 36. 37, you'll have some of these where they'll give you a sentence and ask you create the cost function. Okay, so there's a parking garage that charges $8 plus 65 cents per half hour. So $8 is the fixed cost. This is the rate or the slope, right? So they ask, identify all variables used. Choose the correct answer below. Okay, well, C of X represents the cost of using the parking garage for X half hours. No, it's not completely true. They don't mention the $8. Nope. There's the cost of parking X time. Doesn't make sense. The only one that makes some sense is this one. It says using parking garage for X half hours. So the C function will give you that, but they don't incorporate the 8. So I'm assuming they're doing that on their own. That was not very clear. But you would write what, 65 cents, so 0.65x plus the fixed cost. Remember how we wrote the cost function in the notes? We said it's going to be fixed cost, the B term, and whatever's on the slope is the rate per whatever. Like if they said it's $1 to make X items, it'd be 1x plus something. So here, go ahead and write this one down. Okay. They said the fixed cost is $300. And it costs 80 items, costs 5,100 to produce. Yeah, okay, so remember the cost function. Cx equal to mx plus b. Just saying that this is the fixed, right? So we have fixed. We do not have m. We're going to have to solve for that guy. So C of x is equal to mx plus $300. They did give us a point though, right? It said 80 items cost 5,100 to produce. So we would say 80, comma 5,100. We'll use this information to solve for m. So plug in x and set equal to 5,100. So this is my x C of x, and this is my, all right, 80 m, so that'll be 8. Subtract the 300, that'll be 4,800, right? 80 m, divide by 80, and we'll have our m. There we go. M is 480. So a cost function will be, wait, that's not true. What am I talking about? Let's do 4,800 divided by 80. It's not 60. Yeah. Sorry about that. I'm getting tired. So that'll be 60. This will be 60x plus $300 fixed cost. So this will be your answer. Okay. So is there any questions on that approach? On this one, all you have to do is plug in the number and then divide your result by that same number. Or you can find a cost function and just plug it in. Doesn't really matter. I forgot what number that was. That was 38. Next one is 39. Okay. So remember we said average cost, give you a formula, was equal to the cost function divided by x. So for this example, you'll take their cost function and just divide by x. So for part A, all you have to do is plug in 200. So C of x bar, sorry, C of 200 will equal 6.1 times 200 plus 9,500 over 200. So you can do it this way and just be done. Right? So 6.1 times 200 plus 9,500, then divide the result by 200. So 53.6 should be your answer. So 53 point. Did it say around or anything? Nope. Usually when you have a fraction of an item, like for example, if this was 53.6 people, or persons, you would round up because that doesn't make sense. Because we're producing whole items, so 0.6 of whatever we're talking about. In real life, you just either make in a couple extra or cut it out. But anyway, part B and C will be the same deal. You just plug in 2,000 into here and then divide by 2,000. 5,000, same deal. This is the same. Let's see, manufacturing total cost. What is the average cost per item? Well, if you divide both by x, you can end up with C. Because this divided by x cancels the x. 2,700 divided by x, well, stays right there. Should do this. Any questions on 40? Okay. 41. Let's go ahead and do that one. 41. Let's break even. A bunch of words in there that I don't really care about. All I need to know is when does this happen, right? They gave me a cost function, they gave me a revenue function, so let's go ahead and use it. So C of x is equal to 420 x plus 7980. R of x is equal to 560x. Okay, so just let them equal to each other. So break even happens at this x. I don't know what it is, but we will find out. Right? You can subtract this x over here, or that x over there, doesn't matter. So yeah, I'm gonna move this guy over there. Just because it feels like it's easy. It could be the same thing. Ignore that crying dog in the background. 560 minus 420. Then just divide by 140 and you're good. 7980 divide by 140, and we'll find our break-even point. 7980 divided by 140 is 57. So once you make 57 or sell 57 of these items, that'd be the best way to put it. That's when you break even. I don't know what items they were talking about, but let's go look at it. So they're making some product at some firm. They want to know if they should go ahead and make this thing. Break-even quantity is 57. If the company can produce and sell no more than 198 units, should it do so? Well, since this is bigger than 57, I could make money off this, right? Because as long as I pass this number, I'm no longer in the red. So once I hit 58 units, I make my first profit. 59, make more cash, etc. So going all the way to 198 would make all of that, everything after this would be money. So yeah, let's see why not. Make some cash right first. Next question. Are there any problems with 41? Make sense? All right. The new car was purchased for $14,500. 3 years later, it was worth $9,100. Assume the depreciation value is given by a linear equation. Okay. Yeah, this is why you never buy a new car, right? Right away, it drops like crazy. All right, so go ahead and do it. Okay. So they purchased a car. Okay, 1450. 3 years later. That sounds like a point to me. So 3 years later, the value was 9,100. So there's my point. It's number 42. And then it said it was purchased at 1450, right? Or yeah, 500. So if it's losing money, let me fix that. Fix that, baby. If they're losing money, then I think it should be A or B. Let's go look at it. Think about it. I start with 14,500, and every X years, I lose money or it loses value. So there should be something over here subtracting from the original price. So C or D don't make any sense because check it out. If you graph this, the price of the car just keeps going up and up every year. It doesn't make any sense. Why would your car keep getting more and more expensive every year? I mean, unless you have like some rare classic car, C and D make no sense in real life. So it has to be A or B. So let's find out. Building the equation, I think it should be y equal to 14,500 minus some mx. I don't know how much I lose every year. I just know how much I lost in 3 years. So plug in the y, plug in the x. Gotcha. That'd be 3m, right? So just solve for m and we're good. Subtract that over. That'd be 9,100 minus 14,500 equal to negative 3m. Okay. 9,100 minus 14,500. That is a negative. I should probably make this a plus because I don't know what that is. Yeah. I can't just, I know it's going to be negative, but I shouldn't just plug it in here. So divide by 3, and we're done. So m will be a negative 1,800. So every year, your car loses $1,800 in value. So the cost function, or what do they call it? Depreciation function. Sorry, would be this 14,500 minus 1,800. So in 1 year I lose 1, 2 years I lose another 1,800, 3 years I get to 9,100, and then you keep going until your car is completely worthless, right? That's how life is. If there's any questions on 42? Okay. 43. We didn't really talk about equilibrium, but there's not much to talk about. It's economics kind of thing, right? It's similar to your break-even idea. So when your demand meets supply, that is your equilibrium. So they're just asking, what is that? I think another question might ask me. Use supply and demand curves in the accompanying graph. At what price are 10 items demanded? So 10. So on this one, you don't even talk about equilibrium. I just made an assumption. 10 would be about 100, right? That would be the demand at 10. At what price are 10? Yeah, the price, $100, 10 items. Over here, they ask about equilibrium. So you would just choose this intersection. You want the price, so that'd be here, whatever that number is. Going by 48, right? So half of 48. What's that 120 to mean? Yeah. Okay. You won't have to worry about this one. And that's pretty much it. I focus on the questions you're actually going to see on your test. I did the ones that were harder, and the ones that you can graph, and I'll show you which ones you can graph. Is there any questions that you felt were strange or difficult? Okay.